Hi. Hello. Are we on? Anybody on here? Ha 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 ha. Hi everyone. I don't know, I just realized something while starting this stream is that I haven't had a dumpster diving in like a month, which is a thing, I guess. But I decided to do one today. Just to cover some K-pop and like election stuff, which is a thing. I suppose like it's been a whole like roller coaster, if you could say, for the past week or so. Do comment if it like shit be lagging or whatnot. It happens more often than you think. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of things happening, and I just kind of want to cover it because, how do I say it? Like, with K-pop, like, inherently, there is more ties to the government and, like, social, political climate than you think. And I think it's just important to cover it a little bit because it'll also determine like what happens in K-pop for the next 5 years. Um, I guess K-pop is heavily incentivized by the government. It always has been since its first like since K-pop was first conceptualized in the 90s and brought to the international stage, I suppose, by like Kim Yong Sam. Is that the president like in the 1990s? He was the one that pushed for it. And even in the most recent like the government, the administration before Moon Jae-in, the Park Geun-hye admin also was heavily involved in pop culture, um, in particular some censorship stuff, and we'll get to that, the YG drug cartel and stuff that has got to do with the Conservative Party. And then also in the most recent administration with Moon Jae-in, HYBE, and BTS worldwide diplomacy and whatnot. So I think it's just fun to cover what goes on with the recent election. I've been talking about the election like way before it happened. I think actually started maybe in December or something. Like I was talking about how we should expect more celebrity like scandals and stuff in January, February, maybe starting December, just because of the elections coming up. I was looking to see, like, how to say it, like, a lot of political candidates trying to cover up their own scandals by having idols take the fall by making up idol scandals and whatnot. You know how it is. Like, remember the whole Baekhyun Taeyeon dating thing? That was also like a political cover up and whatnot. Well, I my prediction is that it was gonna happen again in January, February of this year, just because both candidates are highly questionable. And this election, more than ever, is giving me flashbacks to 2016 Trump. Like, it's picking the lesser of two evils but at the same time, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And I've been following it just because I'm nosy like that. I hyperfixate on things a lot. So for a while, my hyperfixation is just like politics. I don't know. I just find it fun. Okay, like you know. Also, maybe because it like kind of sort of affects my work, possibly my career, possibly dot 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 question mark. So I think it's good to stay on top of stuff like this, essentially. So yeah. If anyone has any questions while I do this dumpster diving, feel free to like leave a comment on the live chat. Also, if it lags or anything, just tell me on live chat. I'm like monitoring it on the YouTube studio and it keeps like loading and buffering. Like quick like thing, but there was a technical difficulty like right before I started streaming. Like my PC just acted up and froze. So this is not gonna be the smoothest stream I've had, but we'll work through it. Also, if you hear me cough or whatever, it's because the office was really cold today, and like I tend to just cough and sneeze a lot when exposed to like cold temperatures for a long period of time. In this case, a whole work day. So that's probably why I don't have the C word. Please don't at me. Okay, so let's just start on that stuff. I guess um I'm not particularly like chirpy or anything tonight. I'm kind of tired from work, but also tomorrow is a work from home day for me, so I can like stay up late and like talk about shit if I wanted to. So I decided to do the thing tonight. Anyways, what sparked this stream actually is the whole election thing. And as background, it's between like four candidates, like four main candidates. There's Lee Jae-myung from the Democratic Party, which is number one. His color is blue. This is gonna be sound like I'm describing it as if they're like a K-pop group with like like Luna. They have a number, they have an animal, they have a color. But no, yeah, it looks like their campaign stuff. So there's Lee Jae-myung, the Democratic Party candidate. He's number one in the ballots. His campaign color is blue. And then there is Yoon Suk Yeol, which is the Conservative Party candidate. His campaign color is red. He's number two in the ballots. And then there is Shim Sang Jung, which is number three. She's the liberal candidate. I don't know if she has like a party, but like I know she's like the liberal candidate, and her color is yellow, and she's number three. And then there is An Chol-soo, which is the centrist candidate. I don't know what his color is. He's like not that significant of a player in the bigger scheme of things. He's number four is all I know about him, and like I don't even know his color. Towards the end of the election, like era, campaign arc, he uh like what do you say, like stopped running for president. Like he stopped his campaign and like decided to endorse Mr. Conservative candidate Yoon Suk Yeol anyways, so he's not like that significant in this whole thing, because even though he's a centrist, he's like essentially just conservative anyways. So yeah, that's the main players of the election. Anyways, they have been campaigning since like December, January, whatever. It's a whole shit show for a while. I've been following through the coverage of Rafael Rashid on Twitter. He's great. Love him. Goryeo Dynasty, pretty much like good news source from me. Recommendation, like favorite Twitter account for news. Anyways, um, that whole election thing culminated in the past week or so. So like yesterday was election day, but because of the C word and the rise of cases in Korea right now, which is reaching I think 2 million active cases, possibly question mark. I know it's like rising by like the hundreds of thousands every day for the past 2 weeks, so it's not out of like bounds to say that they're at like the millions cases right, like active cases right now, and that's also part of the problem we'll get into later. But they have had like early voting, not mail-in ballots, but you can go to a voting spot, like it doesn't necessarily have to be in your district and everything. That's the early voting thing, and it's been going on for a week. And then they have like a rest day or two, and then yesterday was election day. And that's when all the exit polls come out and whatnot. So yeah. And out of the four in running, the two main candidates essentially is Yoon Suk Yeol, the Conservative Party, Red, number two, and Lee Jae-myung, the Democratic Party candidate, Blue, number one. And essentially, to describe this election, it's picking the lesser of two evils, but like at this point, their party does not matter anymore, kind of thing. Wait, do we have a tweet for that? I have like a bunch of tabs open for this because this will span a lot of like speculations and tweets and like a lot of people. Mm, where was it? Where is it? Do we have a tweet? Do we have a tweet for this? Do we? Do we not? I think we do. I opened a tweet for this. I'm quite sure of it. Oh yeah, this is the guy by the way, Rafael Rashid. Follow him, is great. He doesn't just cover politics, he covers like K-pop stuff too. He actually um what do you call it? Like interviewed Bomzu like a few weeks ago, which I was like shocked by because I follow him mostly for what is it? Like political coverage news. Like he covers a lot of like LGBT like pride stuff as well, and then the anti-discrimination bill, which is a big point of contention for this election. And then yeah, just a lot of political stuff. And then suddenly he's like, yeah, I interviewed Bomzu and like his big role in 17's like rise to fame, and then his participation in BTS Jin's birthday single. And I'm like, what are you doing here, Bomzu? Why are you suddenly in a yeah, it lags a lot today, but it's okay. Sorry, Oomph. I don't know. This technical stuff. I don't know what happened to my PC and like why it has to happen today. I think this is the Hype intern. Remember that one dumpster diving I did that kept like dying every time I mentioned BTS? Like I'm pretty sure the Hype intern has me monitored. Like it's not the FBI, it's the Hype intern. Anyways, um I don't think I have a tweet for this, but essentially what happened is that it's a really close race between the two party candidates, like real close. Like I think it was like 48-47 or something like that. Like it's a really 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 close race. And in the end, the Conservative Party candidate edged out Lee Jae-myung. But again, to give some oh, here we go. Here's the final count. Yoon Suk-yeol winning by 48.56%, and then Lee Jae-myung by 83%, like he lost essentially. And then my queen Shim Sang-jong is at like 2%, like Christ. Anyways, so to put into context, let's just say Lee Jae-myung is like Biden, Yoon Suk-yeol is Trump, and then Shim Sang-jong is like Bernie Sanders. Let's put it that way. It'll paint a better picture. But in this sense, right, none of the two like top candidates is like better than the other. Like it's pretty much Trump versus Trump, because essentially during the campaign period, it's like a whole mess. Yoon Suk Yeol, the conservative candidate, of course, from the very start of the campaign, pandered to incels and like anti feminists and like male in their 20s who hate women. And it's really giving like MAGA energy, you know. He promised to abolish the Ministry of Gender and Equality thing, and then his wife was in the spotlight for a bit because she said on a recorded telephone call with a reporter, the call, like she didn't know the call was being recorded, but it was being recorded, and then like JDBC, SBS, whatever, one of the shows, like the news show, decided to leak it, and it was like, yeah, you know why there was a Me Too movement? You know why women are speaking up about sexual harassment? Is because they're not being paid enough hush money. So that kind of paints a picture of how Yoon Suk Yeol runs. Also, he kind of promised something about like enlistment, like not being just for males or something, like gender equality. So like the point of his ideology is very like xenophobic as well. Like he mentioned stuff about like China and then a lot of North Korea stuff in his campaign as well. And again, anti-feminist stuff. His I think I remember reading that his stance on the anti-discrimination bill was like depends, like it's to be discussed. Like he's not actively against it, which is different from the Democratic like pick. Like Lee Jae-myung has said that he's against the anti-discrimination bill, while Yoon Suk-yeol like tries to pander to like the minority by saying that it's to be discussed, but at the same time he wants to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality. Like you see how this raises a lot of question marks. And then at one point in his campaign, Yoon Suk-yeol also decided to recruit like a politician, like a female politician who tried to run for mayor of Seoul, and she's like a proud feminist and like advocates for the anti discrimination bill and everything. And then she joined the campaign, the Yoon Suk Yeol campaign, but then left after a day. It's in his effort to pander to the like female votes, but like what goes on? You're the conservative candidate and you actively pander to incels. Like it's just not adding up, right? So that's one thing. But also the Democratic candidate here, which is Lee Jae-myung, I forgot like what he did like before he ran for presidency. Like I know there like he's a big part of the Democratic Party like circle of people, I think if I remember correctly. Um but yeah, his stance on the anti-discrimination bill is like that's not gonna happen, dude. And then he during his campaign, someone came out saying that they were sexually harassed by someone in Lee Jae-myung's team, like the Democratic Party politicians, and he dismissed that shit like it was nothing, saying that he pretty much ridiculed the shit out of that, and that kind of drove away the female voters. Like, how are you as a Democratic like candidate like not care about sexual harassment allegations? That's one thing. Another thing is also his like wife and like mother, or like not mother, like mother-in-law or something, was accused of corruption, like the corruption of like taxes, I think, or like corruption of party funds, like Democratic Party funds, something like that. But that also happened to the Yoon Suk Yeol company, like Yoon Suk Yeol party, like his wife got involved in some corruption stuff. So they share a lot of things. It's Trump versus Trump, dude. And then also like what else? What else? Um who is it? Oh right, Lee Jae-myung. And then he also, in an effort to gain the favor of like voters in their 50s, 60s, like conservative voters, he advocated for Park Geun-hye's early release from jail. Park Geun-hye, if we are new to the current politics, she is the previous president who got impeached because she tried to rewrite history literally. Her dad is a former Korean dictator, Park Chung-hee, who ran Korea in the 70s. Um, and Park Geun-hye, his daughter, was president in 2016. Wait, no, 2015? And then got impeached in like 2017. Yeah, she literally tried to rewrite history to like not include the parts that her dad are like her dad is was a dictator. Like literally she made like a mandated like history book and stuff like that. And after her impeachment she got, well, jailed, of course. But yeah, so in in order to gain the favor of conservative voters, Lee Jae-myung advocated for her release. Like, okay, you're the Democratic Party candidate. Like, what? So that's a whole thing. And then in the end, he realized that he whatever he does, he won't be able to like sway the incel MAGA voters from Yoon Suk Yeol's, fan base. So he decided to pander to female voters, but it's like a little bit too little, too late. Like, where were you all this time? Where have you been all my life, Rihanna kind of moment. And he apologized for the sexual harassment allegations, like for dismissing it so easily. But at that point, the females were just isn't having it. A lot of people were saying, like, I saw some viral tweets being all like, I can't imagine myself voting for Lee Jae-myung unless someone pointed a gun to my head, while Yoon Suk Yeol pointed his gun to my head, so she has no choice but to like vote for Lee Jae-myung. Again, it's giving very much, um, it's giving very much like Trump Biden vibes. Like, I wanted to vote for Bernie, but like they're not able to get enough like voters anyway, so it's like throwing voting for Bernie is essentially like throwing away your vote, and you can like defeat the evil, you know again, picking the lesser of two evils essentially is what this election season is. And what makes it interesting is that this particular elections is like gender is in the very forefront of it, also like minority issues, as I've mentioned before, like with the anti-discrimination bill. uh to keep it short, as a how to say it, like a summary of what the anti-discrimination bill is, it's pretty much a bill to protect women, to protect LGBT like sexual minorities in Korea. So like harassment in workplaces, um like stuff with enlistment as well, because in 2019, 2020, there was a transgender like army recruit that uh ended up like the S word, like she died, and because of the bullying she got online, because she entered the army as a female, I think, and then she transitioned into a male, and then the army does not want to accept her after her transition, something like that. It was a whole issue in Korea, and then she ended up S wording RIP to him, RIP to him. They play a big role in that. And it's not like the first like time that has happened. A lot of transgender experience that kind of bullying and harassment online. So the anti-discrimination bill essentially protects sexual minorities, women as well included in that, because a lot of the spy cam stuff and revenge porn and molka, which is a whole different thing. You know, it's a whole big issue after the Me Too movement. Which again circles back to Yoon Suk Yeol's promises of when he'll get elected. Like other than the whole diminishing, like abolishing the Ministry of Gender Equality, he also promises like harsher punishment for women who um like brings up sexual harassment allegations, but then those allegations are proven false. If it was proven false, then they will be given a harsher um what call that punishment. Essentially, that's what he promises, which is very scary because Korea has one of the strictest defamation laws in the world. So, you know, on top of that, if it's proven false, which a lot of sexual harassment cases in Korea is dismissed, even when the victim, like, not even just sexual harassment, but like a lot of gender crimes, like say women who rejects a guy and then the guy ends up killing the women because they rejected him, type of crimes, like the guys walk away without sentences or like with just fines or like a few months in jail kind of thing. Like that happens a lot, like a lot recently. And if this law and punishment of false sexual harassment, which in a sexual harassment case, it's already really hard to prove, goes into effect, like that's just scary. It's really scary, right? So that's also another thing. Also, Yoon Suk Yeol has once said that there is no such thing as systemic discrimination against women. There's no such thing as that. So, and that males are actually the victim in this whole gender equality feminist movement. So there's that. That's a bit of a peek of what's gonna happen in the next 5 years. Um, yeah, so that's not great. So that's kind of like a brief summary of the two candidates and what goes on. Again, out of the three, the ideal candidate would be Miss Shim Sang Jong, the Liberal Party. She is pro anti-discrimination bill. She criticized Snowdrop. Yes, my crusade against Snowdrop circles back now. She criticized Snowdrop for being a right-wing propaganda propagated by JTBC, which all the power to her. And she was also an activist during the time in the 1980s, protesting against the Chonduhan administration. Yes, activist queen. So yeah, she's the liberal candidate. Oh, she also speaks a lot about like feminism and whatever. So yeah, she's great, amazing. We love her, but there's no way she's gonna win with the current social political climate. So yeah, whatever. I hope she runs again next election. But yeah, so that's essentially like the ideal candidate, but because she's never gonna get the vote anyways, so a lot of female voters were like urged to vote for Lee Jae Myung instead, because it's better him rather than Yoon Suk Yeol, the lesser of two evils and whatnot. But essentially, if you see what happened during the whole campaign period, like they're one and the same. They flip flop a lot, trying to gain voters from the opposite like base, but in doing so, it feels so much like a cheap trick, like a very, how do you say it? Like not like cheap, but like how do you say it? Like they're stooping so low, like doing the bare minimum kind of thing, just so they can satisfy the voters like criteria, or whatever, or at least like it's like theatrics, like it's just a show, like a show off, but they're not gonna enact things in the years to come. Essentially, that's that. And yeah, Yoon Suk Yeol won. And this sparked a lot of online debate for the past week because, again, the early voting, but also yesterday was election day. But with how controversial both candidates are, it's not like a shock that that effect like rippled through every Korean like media, like not just news, but like everywhere. And that kind of trickled down to K-pop a little bit. So, like, what sparked it? Like, what happened? Like, why are people pressed about this? Well, it's how to say it. Like, again, here you can see here, um, supporters of the Yoon Suk Yeol party. Like, there's this thing that's been trending for like even before the early voting thing started, which is the Ilbon Nam Ibon Nam term coined by women's online firms, distinguishing men voting for Lee Jae-myung from those voting for Yoon Suk Yeol. At first glance, this rhetoric seems divisive, yet women in Korea have faced similar questioning over their view on feminism for years. And young Korean men are now using the term coined by women online, sending pictures of themselves to the masculinist, misogynist male rights group Shinam Song Yeondae, proudly saying they're man number 2 who supports Yoon Suk Yeol. So it's been a back and forth between like active feminist female online, not really creators, but just like K-nets essentially, and incels. And yeah, this has been happening even before then, but it kind of became more relevant the closer we get to election day and the early voting period. And since the start of the early voting period, a lot of idols got caught up in like who like not really okay. A lot of egg accounts started like not really how do you say it? Like theorizing pretty much who they think these people are voting for. Like it's that divisive, it's that polarizing, I suppose. And I think it all really started with the Hichol post. Wait, where is it? Do I have it? Do I have it? Oh, here we go. March 4th. Not Hichol voting for the conservative candidate in Saltis. Why this became a theory, a conspiracy per se, is because he went to early voting wearing a red mask and red slippers, like, and it's a trend, okay? It's not just this election, but even in previous elections, wearing certain colors and attributes spark a lot of online discussion and conspiracy about which candidate you're voting for. So idols and celebrities and stuff like tend to avoid wearing clothing items or attributes that could be like related, that could be traced back to a certain candidate. Like, like they might not intend for it to be like that, but like it could be read that way. So they try to like avoid it, but then when you turn up to the voting booth like this with a red mask and red slippers, like that's just asking for attention. That's just asking for conspiracy theories. So this kind of sparked the online debate on March 4th. But if we trace back, this stuff has been going on even before then. Um, on March 7th, Miss I don't if there are they Miss or Mr. I don't know. But like Sojang, famously known for as the YouTube channel that was sued by V of BTS following the V of BTS dating Paradise Hotel daughter, Chaebol daughter allegations. That YouTube channel, they posted a video talking about the number one man, number two man conspiracy theories. And they covered some idols. I'm not really sure if this is from like this current election, because like the boys picture they use for like an example of number one man is the boys new. He turned up to the voting like booth in all blue, man. Like respected the guy. Like power to you, new Mr. Chani of um of the boys. Like good on you for the bravery, because in comparison, if you see the boys members, they were all wearing black except him. Like he's just standing out in all blue. Like all the power to him. It was him and Changmin, which is Q. He's wearing black outside, but like the blue undershirt. Like okay, we get it. You're voting one. You're voting Democratic Party. Like good on you, you know. And then yeah, okay. And then they also have Jokwon of 2AM proudly with all the blues, and then posting on Instagram like with a blue nail polish and saying that yes, they voted for the Democratic Party candidate. Like good on you. The bravery is like I respect the bravery. I respect the grind. I respect um them being brave enough to do this. And then for the number two man, like example, it was V of BTS. Like I'm not even sure. I think like Sojang just like enjoys like shitting on V of BTS. Like go on. I enjoy Sojang enjoying shitting on BTS. But yeah, he turned up to a like you they use this picture of him wearing a red tie and then doing a V pose at the voting booth place when he turned up to vote last elections as proof that that Taehyung supports the conservative candidate, which I mean fair enough. I thought this was like this election, but then Oomph pointed out that right now he has like black longish like mullet hair, so this cannot be from like this most recent election. The soonest it could be was like from the past election. So yeah, it's completely unrelated to the current elections. I'm just saying that this conspiracy theory of colors and idols have been going for a while. Hence why I mentioned the whole colors and numbers thing at first, as if like the presidential candidates are Luna trainees. But yeah, so this whole conspiracy thing has been going since like elections has been going on and K-pop idols has been relevant. So this brings us back to the whole Hichol thing. That's kind of the first I remember it being brought up. And then a few days later, Mr. Yoo Jae-suk, yes, I don't know, I think it's not even from this um like elections either, since he turned up without a mask. Like why would, like, you know, in this C word times, I don't think idols be turning up at voting booths without masks. So this cannot be from this year, but he turned up with a blue hat. So that's a whole thing. Completely unrelated, but we also have what's his name? Jaejung from JYJ, formerly TVXQ, posting his like ballot paper on Instagram. Like, okay. I don't know why they did that, but sure. And then a few days before, Teng Kang, a very famous YouTuber, TikToker, creator, was on Enhypen. Well, not really Enhypen, but Sonu and Jongwon's radio show at EBS. Like he was a guest, and he turned up with like a red hoodie, and then like people were shitting on him. Wait, where is it? Do I have a tweet? Do I have? Yes, there you go. Because his mask kept going down as well. Like it kept like not going down. It kept like slipping down his nose. So then people are like, "Oh my god, he must be an incel. Oh my god, he's like anti-vaxxer. Oh my god, he's like a Yoon Suk Yeol naders." But then like afterwards, like I guess they panicked and like made him change. Like he took off his red hoodie after like the first like half an hour because people were making like a fuss out of it. Here you can see 게스트분 이 시국에 이런 옷과 이런 마스크 괜찮은 거 맞자? 괜찮은 거 맞아? Like that. So like yeah, people were speculating about it. I was like, the witch hunt against Denskang wearing red. I'm gonna KMS leave someone out of this, right? Since they were wearing gray, like it wasn't like a thing for them. But yeah, so that was a thing as well. And then a few days after that, or like, is it the few days after? No, it was March 4th as well. So Dayoung was on V Live, Wooju Sonyo, WJS, and Dayoung was on V Live, and she was wearing pink. And then someone asked in the comments, like, uh, is you like, are you wearing pink? Like, is there a meaning behind you wearing pink today during V Live? And then she panicked and like started writing on the whiteboard behind her, like, I'm just wearing a pink shirt. It means nothing. Like, don't read into it. I just want to wear pink. Something like that. And then afterwards her manager came in and like brought her a hoodie to wear. Um so that she no, wait. So that she like the comments about her wearing pink stops at some point before the manager gave her a hoodie. She even turned on a black and white filter so that people stop focusing on her pink shirt. So there's that. And then there's also this funny voting proof picture that DefCon uploaded on Instagram. He wore all the candidates' colors. So blue for Lee Jae-myung, red for Yoon Suk Yeol, yellow for Shim Sang-jung, and white, I suppose, for An Chol-soo. In order to not cause misunderstanding, like who he is actually voting for. Like he just wore all the colors, so people cannot make speculations at all, which is all the power to him, you know. So that's kind of the background of everything, but the speculations surmounted and kind of peaked in like last night. Oh no, one more. There was also wait, no, actually no, this is later. So everything kind of like peaked in like this morning, last night, with what happened to a bunch of idols. I know we covered Suju's Kim Hee-chul first because his thing happened like during early voting, so it's not technically like during like election day, but the other idols happened during election day, and the lineup includes Mr. Dawon from SF9, Mr. Min Hyuk from Monsta X, and Mr. Mingyu from 17. And why, would you ask? Like, what happened to them? Why are they like why are they being criticized, Miss Paranbit? Well, they're being criticized because they posted some like, well, I would say more careless. Like it's not really questionable. It's not really like we don't know their intentions. That's why. So I would just say keep it at like careless posts on election day. As you can see, this whole speculation thing has been going for a week now. So I don't know why, knowing that, like, how out of touch can you be to not know how sensitive K-nuts are, so like them posting this is just them being careless, I guess. But starting with Dawon, I guess. Do we have the tweet? Do we have the tweet? Calling instas. Do we have a tweet? Do we? Oh, here we go. Let's start with Dawon of SF9. So, on his universe profile, which is kind of like the CJENM Kakao version of Weverse, he changed his name. I think it used to just be Dawon, which is a stage name. He changed it to Isang Hyuk, which but the E is number two, so E like two Sang Hyuk, like you can see here, but it's like E like pronounced as like his last name Lee Sang Hyuk, which is his real name. And like he did this on election day, so people just like went like back? Hello? Okay. Sorry, where were we? I was ranting about Mingyu. So, that's that. Where were we? Okay. So, it paints like a pretty clear pattern that Mingyu, like, if it's only one of the three incidents or like two, like, again, him bullying is one thing, him posting, like, him making collages in poor taste that could be interpreted as misogynistic artwork is one thing, but then to do this, uh, post a picture when you could also not post a picture, you could also take a new picture that does not have a red hoodie in it. But like him posting this, it just doesn't paint a good picture, right? It's either he's so out of touch with the reality and the social politic climate in Korea right now that he just carelessly posted the picture, or he actually actively supports the conservative candidate. Like either way is a bad look, right? So I don't know, like how many more chances are we gonna take for this man? Oh shit. Yeah, sorry. I fixed the audio stuff. We can't hear your voice. Yeah, I just fixed it. Wait. Let's ask the tweet. Where did I left off? Oh my god, I was talking a lot. I was ranting a lot about Mingyu. That I forgot to check my mic. Oh my god. Sorry. I have my mic connected to my phone, so it's not the audio from my earphones. And that's why sometimes it get a disconnect. But anyways, going back to the Mingyu stuff. Oh no, did my mic die since Dawon stuff? Like, are you serious? That's like a long time ago. My broadcast is like lagging like by a lot. A lot. Again, technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on. The hype intern is out for me. Like, mark my words. The hype intern hates me. Anyways, so the only possibility of this Mingyu stuff is either he's that ignorant or he's actually in support of the candidate. Like either way, it paints a bad picture. In contrast to like Jonghan stuff, why is he not being like um like how to say it? Why is he not being bashed as much? Again, he's wearing blue, which is for the Democratic Party, and I've stated before in like background, a lot of the liberals are forced to pick the lesser evil out of the two, and then just happens to be the Democratic Party. So with that in mind, of course, since he aligns with the female fan base of K-pop in general, he's not facing as much backlash. But yeah, so yeah, but as I've stated here, like the response is pretty fair. Like, what do you expect? Like, you're a public figure, you should at least be up to date about like current social affairs. So at least Pledis hype, like step up your PR, like social media call influencer manager person, like be informed and then tell the idols to not do certain things, you know? Like the Dayong stuff, like at least her manager cares enough for her to bring her like a not like a neutral colored clothing so that she doesn't get bashed, you know? So maybe that's something that high Pledis people need to do. You still can't hear my voice? No, where? Wait, I swear the hype intern is out for me tonight. Um, yeah. Oh, why is my stream so poor in quality? I swear my internet is fine. I don't know. I think I'm just not meant to be podcasting tonight. But anyways, um if they post it on Weavers, there's a possible deniability. Again, the thing with like Min Hyuk from Monster X, at least he posted on Fan Cafe so he can control the narrative and it won't spread as fast or as widely as an Instagram post, you know? And like Dayong is also on like V Life or whatever. But like with Mingyu and Jonghan, it's on a public platform. Like it's on Instagram, and Blendis is not like hype. At least it's not known for issuing public statements and apologies for stuff they think they can just ignore and it will go away. And that's like the running theme of 17 scandals is just they just let it fester and let Carrot sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. So, in retrospect, we're never gonna get like actual confirmation about their political biases, but like, I don't think that's the point. Essentially, I think it's mostly. Oh, Dawan's Universe post. Well, I'll recap the Mingyu stuff anyways. So, and the Minhyuk stuff as well. The Minhyuk stuff, he posted a heart on Fan Cafe, like Minhyuk Hour, and it was like a red heart, again, red emojis, refer to the conservative candidate, but then he realized belatedly and changed the black, and then posted a comment saying like, please don't speculate meaning out of my post where there's no intended meaning to the post. It's just him greeting fans. But like suspiciously, this is his first post on Fan Cafe in over a year and a half, nearing 2 years. So take that as you will. And then Dawan Universe, I think my voice was still there. And then the Mingyu stuff, I got into it. I think I fixed the mic before it was too late, I suppose. Yeah, and then so with the Jonghan and Mingyu, like different from the other idols, one, it's on a public platform. Two, they did not clarify, and I don't think they will ever clarify their political biases, since it's a running trend with Hybe. But also, carrots are very permissive of what idols do, or carrots are very permissive of what 17 does. So like, it's very unlikely for them to address it, since addressing it will bring it more attention. So just letting it be, since carrots just don't throw a fit very often, is just they're just gonna let it be, right? But like, yeah. So my point is that I think it all boils down to three particular questions, which is, should idols remain apolitical? Should they apologize for their political beliefs? And would you support an idol with an opposing political belief as you, if they do have it, right? But right now with the Jonghan Mingyu, I think, since I don't really want to speculate on people's political beliefs either, I think it just boils down to what we know about them, like what scandals they have been involved in. In the case of Mingyu, this is the third strike. The first being the bullying, second being the collage, and then now red stuff. So he has a track record that kind of points to incelism. Not great. And if it really boils down to just him being like out of touch with reality, then like how oh my god, is my stream going well? Then how is it that is my mic is going right? Like, I'm now paranoid. Okay, then like, where were we? Oh yeah, if he's that out of touch with reality, then like, is that a good thing, being so careless about your social media presence as a public figure? Like, which is the lesser of two evils? This is the election dilemma all over again. And I said before, like, like DC Gal has made a good point about this. It's like how much more are fans willing to tolerate? Like I think I've talked about this a little bit in that I think a lot of fans have different tolerance or like their hard limit. Like if an idol does this particular byongka or this particular scandal, then they will taldok for real. And that ranges from a dating scandal, smoking scandal, which, you know, a normal average people can do without much scrutiny, to very extreme things such as um, sexual harassment like allegations, or it could be like an anti-vaxxer scandal allegations. Like the range is real, right? When it comes to like K-pop scandals, and I think the hard limit, like the taldok limit of fans range, like has a really wide range in that it could be their fave. Like for me, I have like several faves. I have like Joshua of 17, Sonu of Enhypen, and Sukai of JO1. So what does it take for me to taldok them? Of course, it like differs from person to person. Again, some people can accept idols who have a bullying past. Some people can't even accept their fave dating or whatever. And it differs from idol to idol as well. Um, like how I perceive Sonu and how I perceive Joshua is of course very different, and I think that standard is also very different for both of them. Like I would understand Sonu if he got into a bullying scandal or whatnot, but I wouldn't understand Joshua if he got into a bullying scandal. This is just an example, but yeah, the hard limit for idols, and it's very subjective, right? So like how much more are fans willing to tolerate? I think this extends to Mingyu. Like how many times are you supposed to forgive him for his supposed carelessness if we're really trying to turn a blind eye? Like we're really trying to not think about the worst possible case of him actually being a true conservative, which is then it means he's very ignorant of the social politic climate, right? So how much more are we willing to tolerate that? Because looking at his previous post, like he's been careless on social media a lot as a public figure. So how much more are you willing to tolerate? I think a good question to ask yourself would be, if the idol is your friend, like a close friend of yours, and they did like a similar thing, like your friend suddenly post like on social media that they are in support of the conservative candidate, like would you, even out of ignorance, even if it's just out of ignorance or out of true support, would you like still be friends with the person? Question mark. And I think that kind of gauges um like your hard limit, I suppose, and trying not to put idols on a pedestal kind of thing, you know? And I touched on this a bit on this thread that there are various different reasons why Yoon Suk Yeol is popular within the populace, and I think this also matters in this debate about are idols inherently conservative or whatever. Since there are varying reasons to why the average 20 something male demographic in Korea is supportive of Yoon Suk Yeol. It could be again in retaliation of Moon's poor administration. I will get to this later. Another thing here. Uh, See this conversation I had with Rina a little bit. We were talking about again Rafael Rashid's tweet about Yoon Suk Yeol, like various questionable beliefs such as structural gender discrimination does not exist, and
foreigners being health insurance leeches, homophobia and transphobia and stuff like that. Um, Rina said that it's all Moon Jae-in's fault. I mean, not all, but a huge part of it. He really tipped undecided people over the edge. And I said, Moon Jae-in is truly a bland president doing bare minimum at everything and handling the C word, like, really badly post the first wave. Like, the first wave, like, handling was pretty good, in my opinion, like, lockdowns and incentives. But afterwards, it's just shitstorm after shitstorm. And then Rina said that, like, yeah, one of my students was just talking about how he doesn't like Moon Jae-in and that's why he's voting for Yoon Suk-yeol. This whole situation honestly reminds me of how Duterte was elected here, so good fucking luck to South Korea. Which I think kind of describes the overall sentiment. And then famous egg account that I quoted a lot in my dumpster diving, Miss Lily Lee, also weighed in on everything. Fun fact, she's actually conservative. Like, she's Yoon Suk Yeol naders, but also Park Geun Hye naders. Like, also, I'm not really sure on which generation of Lily owner we are. I lost track after the fourth owner, since I followed Lily, the fourth owner, but since they hated Enhypen so much, I muted them. And then when I checked back to the account, suddenly they changed owners already. Still an Enhypen hater and a Subin stan, but no longer the Japanese fan. Like, it transferred back the Korean stan apparently. So let's just assume this is the fifth generation owner of the Lily egg account, right? And they're a massive Yoon Suk Yeol haters. And when asked why, like, people, like, a lot of people came for them since they're for their conservative biases, and it comes down to the whole sorry, it all comes down to the whole housing issue, which again kind of circles back to the whole Lord DK controversy from earlier, or from late last year, earlier this year. But as you can see here, it details all the different, like, all the four of the most recent administrations, starting from Roh Moo-hyun to Im Yong-bak to Park Geun-hye to Moon Jae-in. And out of the four administrations, you can see the steepest rise in housing prices came during Moon Jae-in's presidency. In Seoul, the housing prices skyrocketed 15% since he first entered the office. Nationally, it's at 4%, which is relatively low, but, like, in Seoul, like, the highest previously was the Roh Moo-hyun administration at 11%. For it to rise up to 15% in Seoul during his presidency is definitely a point of contention. And I think that won over a lot of, like, middle class voters, like, playing into their anxieties of not being able to be homeowners and forever renting their houses and whatnot. Also, as stated before, the poor handling of C word impacted a lot of small business owners. They're not incentivized, like, they're not getting enough incentives to keep running. So a lot of small businesses went under during the pandemic, since the Moon Jae-in did not spare them enough incentives to keep them running. And of course, with all of the curfews and limitations to dining, they were not able to meet their usual, like, profit margins, and a lot of them went under. And with the Yoon Suk Yeol promises, a lot of these small business owners are swayed to their party, to their side, essentially. Also, they, like, Yoon Suk Yeol wanted to do something like the omnibus law in Korea, which eliminates the restriction on work hours. So they can assign more flexible work hours, in the sense, raise the minimum work hours, while also lowering the minimum wage, something like that, which I guess would sound promising for small business owners, hence why a lot of them swayed to their camp. So that's why I said in the thread with the Mingyu stuff that it could possibly just be that a lot of these idols are upset with how the C word was handled by the Moon administration. Because I think K-Nuts has expressed their woes about this as well, in that a lot of other events like musicals are still going on, churches are still going on, but the one thing that the government was super strict about during this past 2 years are idol concerts for some weird reason. Like, um, cinemas were open, like almost at 100% capacity. I think the highest was like 70%. Musicals are running at 50% capacity. Churches are just, they're not being controlled at all. Like, those are epicenters of a lot of Korean clusters for the past 2 years, like church meetings and stuff. But for some reason, for some odd reason, idol concerts are being discriminated particularly. Like a lot of idol concerts have to be done remotely, like online fan meets only and whatnot. And I guess like if you were an idol and your main income comes from concerts and merch and goods, this definitely impacts your earnings over the past few years. So again, it won't be surprising if these idols are voting red, you know? And yeah, could be aspiring landlords or businessmen. As I've stated before, Yoon Suk Yeol plays into the housing crisis anxieties as well as that work hour thing. Like financial freedom, be your own boss, girl boss, second stream of income type beat, hustle culture type beat. Maybe your idols want to own a cafe with not that many part timers. And they would prefer that these people work for long hours with the least amount of payment. So in that sense, like it's just not that surprising. But again, I think what makes the whole Mingyu thing stand out again with his previous, it's like almost to the, not almost, but like you can sort of compare it with the Suju Ajoshis, you know, like they have a track record, so this one incident can't just be viewed as its own separate thing. Like you have to see it in its full context and like his previous track record. And in that sense, it kind of paints a picture, not a particularly good one either way. Conservative supporter or a very ignorant idol. You choose, I guess. So that kind of wraps that up with the Mingyu stuff. Is there any other thing I want to say? Um. Oh yeah, conservative candidate rhetoric promises more than just that. Something about enlistment too. Also working on housing prices, etc. So again, idols voting red might not necessarily be because they're incels and anti-feminist and xenophobic, but it's still not great when your fan base is mostly female, to be broadcasting this publicly on a social media platform per se. Like it's just not a great look. So in the best way possible, looking at the scandal, it's still being super careless on social media after multiple blunders in the past month. And a lot of carrots are worried he might not have a birthday V Live again this year. Well, he kind of did it to himself, as quoted from Oomph. Like, you kind of brought it on yourself. Maybe be more careful on social media, Mingyu. So that kind of sums up everything, I suppose, with the whole. Oh, we missed one idol. in this whole witch hunt, which is Jison of Promise Nine. On election day, she posted like a song recommendation, which is Two, Room for Number Two. Again, conservative, supposedly reference. And then in the caption, he said, if she sees this, it makes her want to stretch her neck. When she sees this picture, it makes her want to like stretch her neck. Again, the whole neck stretching is a diss at lip dem snowflakes for being uncomfy at a lot of things. And she backtracked. This is posted on like 6 p.m. KST, and then soon after she reposted at like 6 p.m. 41 this wib, but like since Korea is 2 hours ahead, so 41 minutes later she reposted it with like the same selfie, well, like self picture and caption, but a different song recommendation. See, and like you can see here that like, why did she change the song? Explain, please. So, yeah, she's also one of the idols accused of being a conservative. Uh, so that kind of sums up the whole allegation stuff, I guess. Um, and as I promised, I also kind of want to talk about the presidency to come, like what this um election, like what election result implies for the K-pop industry. Well, to flash back a bit, during the Park Geun-hye administration, she's a conservative. Um, what happened during her impeachment was that it started. I was on again with Oomph. It started with like Park. Wait, no. Choi Soon Shil's daughters, like peers, being suspicious of Choi Soon Shil daughter's admission to one of the most prestigious Korean universities, and being saying like, oh my gosh, she cheated her way into getting accepted, and that triggered the domino effect of the impeachment of Park Geun-hye. But essentially, it like uncovered a network in which Park Geun-hye colluded with Choi Soon-sil, like asking for Choi Soon-sil's opinions on stuff like how to say it? Like top secret, like presidential agenda stuff. And this includes, oh yeah, the mic for real died for a while. Oh, it's delayed. Yeah, sorry, dude. Technical difficulties. But like the stream is very, very delayed. Like very, very, very delayed. But yeah, so Choi Soon-sil stuff was uncovered from there, and again, her impeachment covers a lot of things. One being the whole history revisionist stuff, and then the Choi Soon-sil colluding stuff. So a lot of official government secrets and agendas was revealed to Choi Soon-sil, who wasn't a uh government official. Like she's just a friend. She's just a family friend, but Park Geun-hye would seek her advice on a lot of these things. So that's collusion. And then Choi Soon-sil being in charge of like government events and being super close to YG Entertainment, Psy to be exact. Do we have a do we have a here we go. K-pop agencies drawn into South Korean presidential scandal. YG Entertainment along with other K-pop agencies are being dragged into the Choi Soon-sil scandal. Yeah, popular acts like Psy, known internationally for his hit Gangnam Style, and Korean rocker Essential denied connections to Choi. So it's a whole network of things. You know, that's one thing as well. And then another thing is the Park Geun-hye blacklist, where she blacklists a bunch of industry players. One notable one being Bong Joon-ho of Parasite fame. Um, he is part of the blacklist. So during the presidential, like presidency, the what do you call it? Park Geun-hye administration, he's not able to like release any movies and whatnot. Um, he's part of the thousands of Korean artists put on a secret government blacklist for their liberal politics. So think about it this way: if Park Geun-hye was not impeached, he wouldn't have made Parasite, and Parasite wouldn't have been released, and it wouldn't have made a big impact on Korean culture since he's on the blacklist. Um, See, Korean expert S. Nathan Park wrote in the Washington Post on Monday that Parasite may never have been produced if Bong and his Parasite co-creators remain on the blacklist. So that's like not painting a good future for the next 5 years. Another notable movie blocked by the Park Geun-hye administration is 1987, starring our very own Kim Tae-ri of 2521 fame. You know, everybody knows her. Oh my god, 1987 movie. Yeah, this movie chronicles the um, protest, the democratic movement fighting against the Chonduhan dictatorship. And this movie was blocked by the admin as again history revisionist Park Geun-hye stuff. She doesn't want it to be revealed that her dad caused the death of many student activists. So she blocked this movie. But then it finally came out after she got impeached. Anyways, so yeah, this is a whole thing. So this might happen again in the future. And this also kind of expounds on my YG drug cartel conservative party theory, which is echoed by this where are you? By this K-pop professor Twitter account, which is retweeted by Rafael Rashid, again, a very credible reporter, everyone. But yeah, the industry will be chummy with the government. I'm looking at you, YG Entertainment, first for this. And the idols will stand with Yoon at big international events, and the government will support K-pop because of soft power dreams. Yeah, so surprise, not surprised, but a lot of K-pop is incentivized by the government since it's a cultural product that promotes a very positive image of the country. And again, with the past during the Park Geun-hye administration collusion, whatever, YG Entertainment being part of it is one thing. A lot of favorable things happened to YG during that time. I think Psy was like invited a lot for government official events as like a performer and whatnot. And I think the connections of YG Entertainment, YG drug cartel with conservative parties and politicians also help them kind of shield the Burning Sun stuff and like avoid the worst of punishments for those crimes. Like one of the threads following Burning Sun was that former Seoul mayor's son also got caught doing drugs at Burning Sun, and that's why the conservative party had to help cover it up, because if not, it like endangers some of politicians like reputations as well, not just YG's. Like if YG goes down, then like conservative party politicians go down with them. So a lot of collusion happening, as well as like allegations of YG colluding with like police, like higher ups, like Gangnam police officials, to cover this up. Like a lot of conspiracies and a lot of like theories that make sense. No proof, but like again, you kind of have to see it in a bigger picture and see like what transpired beforehand to kind of give context to specific conspiracy theories of current events. And I think one of them, and I think the whole YG Entertainment colluding with the Choi Soon Sil Park Geun-hye administration leading to the impeachment, and then Burning Sun also having involvement of supposed Conservative Party politicians helping cover it up. And then now the Conservative Party once again elected into the office, I think will bode positively for YG Entertainment, which is heavily affiliated with Naver. Yeah, so Naver's like CEO, like one of the higher up sons is a rapper under the Black Label, which is YG's sub label with like Somi and stuff. I think Teddy, like the producer Teddy that does his like Blackpink songs and whatever, was also related to like some Naver higher up. So there's like some extremely close ties between YG and Naver, and then now that Hybe is also doing business with YG. I think it's a preemptive move, because this also ties into my Hybe Moon Jae-in administration collusion conspiracy theory. But if you look back, since the Moon Jae-in like administration, as I've mentioned before, his administration is kind of giving bare minimum again with the like rising housing prices. Like he didn't deal with that very well. Also with the North Korea ties, like the failed Singapore summit and stuff like that. Like it just doesn't like present the best image of Moon Jae-in. He's still gonna end his presidency as one of the most favorable presidents, like one of the most popular presidents out of all Korean presidents. But if you see like the track record of Korean presidents, like he's just doing bare minimum. It's just that the previous presidents are so bad that it makes him look good. But in retrospect, like he's serving bare minimum, fam. Like very, very bare minimum. But his direct like president president, as in like PRECE is Park Geun-hye, who is impeached. So of course he looks like decent, right? But in retrospect, he didn't really do much. And during his presidency, I think the only standout I could think of is G20 stuff and BTS. Even from the very beginning of his like presidency, his administration has such a close tie to Hybe that I can't really quite put into like words, as in like I have concrete proof. But since his presidency, BTS has performed at the Korean France Friendship Concert in Paris and has accompanied Moon Jae-in in several like diplomacy missions at the UN, in France, and where else? Like they are the diplomacy asset, Like they're no longer just a K-pop group, but they're like a cultural asset, contributing a percentage of the Korean GDP kind of major, and Moon Jae-in really plays into this narrative, I suppose, like giving Hybe very favorable like leniency for a lot of things that are questionable otherwise, like Hybe's acquisition of many um of many mid-tier labels have been criticized as being a monopoly, like they're one step closer to being a Disney type entity, right? But none of these acquisitions has been flagged by the KFCC. Is it FCC? No. The Korean Fair Trade thing. Is it FCC? Anyways, that like institution did not flag any of these acquisitions, which comes into question like how did they bypass all of that when they've in the past like year and a half Hybe has acquired a lot of labels like Source Music, Pledis, KQ. What else did they acquire? Like Netmarble, part of it as well. Also made Hype Edu. Also acquired Itaka, which I think, like, I know it's an American label technically, but like it's a Korean conglomerate that's taking over that thing. So there should be some FTC. Like Korean FTC must have had a hand on that. But no, it's all been cleared, no problem. Also, some Hybe sketch like insider trading, like when Hybe went public for the first time, a lot of issue was brought up regarding insider trading. Like right before they went public, a bunch of higher ups got stock options, and right as it went public and the price skyrocketed, they sold off their stocks. So that happened, and no warning from the KFTC either. So that's one thing. My personal experience with the Hybe Moon Jae-in supposed collusion is during my trip in 2019, where I was invited by the Ministry of Education to participate in this like speech contest and partly also like cultural exchange. And at the end of the program, at like the ceremony, like the speech ceremony, final ceremony thing, Gfriend performed, and like the event wasn't even in Seoul, it was in Busan. Like Gfriend traveled all the way to Busan just to perform at a lowly Ministry of Education private event for free. Like I got to watch that shit for free. I just know there's some like shit happening with Hybe and the Moon Jae-in administration. Collusion is happening. I cannot put it into words, but I can feel it. And also most recently, the BTS concert happening today is the first idol concert in a while, in like the past 2 years, that is allowed to have full capacity. So no social distancing measure in terms of capacity, like max capacity, like it's 100%. Still no shouting though, which is like a standard. But since the month of March, Korea has stopped using their contact tracing application, so no more QR code scanning, and this concert is being held with just um temperature checks before entry, but no QR code, no need for a negative PCR test proof before entering the venue, just a temperature check. And if you pass the checkpoint, then you're good to go. And it's a full capacity at 5,000 capacity per date. And like BTS is doing a concert for the next 3 days or something, 4 days or whatnot. And I think the leniency in that, it's the collusion, okay? It's the Hybe Moon Jae-in collusion. I cannot put it into words, but it's there. I see the vision. I feel like I'm right. I just cannot put into words. And again, since I tweeted about this a bit this morning, in that I think Hybe is not gonna have. Oh, here we go. Why Hybe always involved in Moon Jae-in anti-Japan agenda? A, the A Bomb T-shirt is way before then, way before Moon Jae-in. It was Jimin wearing like something like anti-Japanese sentiment T-shirt or whatever. Mocking Japanese tsunami, erasing Japan map. Hype is current so-called present political tool. Did Hype hire you to cover up their sins to Japanese people? Yeah, whatever. So even people picked up on this Hype Moon Jae-in stuff. It's not explicit as the YG Entertainment Park Geun-hye collusion, but it's there. Like you can feel it. If you follow Hybe and Bang PD's every movement, like you can feel it. It's like it's right there. You know, not explicitly, but it's right there. Anyways, where were we? Yeah, with the fall of the Moon Jae-in presidency coming very soon, I tweeted earlier this morning saying like, Hype finally fall from grace now that Moon Jae-in is about to lengser from the government or whatever. But I think Hype anticipated it, and that's why they like decided to work or have business ventures with YG Plus. Right now, Hype's distributor is YG Plus, and a lot of YG artists are in Weavers. Like it's essentially YG being part of the Hype label system in everything but name. Like they are very much active on Weavers. YG Plus is in charge of all distribution except for Enhypen, because their distribution is through Stone Music, because Enhypen is Belief, and Belief is like half Big Hit, half CJNM. So I guess there's some pride in that. They aren't part of this whole YG Plus distribution system, but BTS albums, TXT albums, 17 albums are now fully distributed by YG Plus.